Warning, the show contains adult language. As the title of today's show, Unfuck Yourself, we do a bunch of series of these. And I wanted to talk today about the crazy shit that's happening in the world right now. I'm a little flustered up from yesterday's show, which was a lot about the supply chain shortages and how it's affecting me. But as the day progressed, I kept thinking to myself, man, what can I do? What can I do in the worst case scenario? You see, I'm a plans person. I have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And it keeps me from being stressed out. I know that I've got multiple talents and things that I can do to keep myself afloat, to keep myself alive, no matter what situation there is. A whole ensemble of a mixture of survival techniques out in the wilds, urban survival, business survival, spiritual, mind survival. And I only freak out for a little while until I start to look at these things and say, well, what can I do? How can I unfuck myself from this situation? And I kind of wanted to go on to that today because I know a lot of people are kind of maybe losing their shit out there. And this is pretty crazy times. You know, the supply chain disruption could affect some very large personal lives, and our businesses for sure are going to get affected. But nothing's going to help anybody of all of us sitting here pointing out all the shit that's screwed up, everything that's wrong, and not coming up with some solutions. We need to become a solutions-based individuals, and not a society. Forget about society. Society doesn't really give a shit. The majority of people, I think they like the drama, but for those of you who want to get ahead and you want to make a breakthrough, it starts really with you, and you have to start by unfucking yourself. So let's get into it. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show's about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. So today's episode 280, Unfuck Yourself, from yourself, actually. And we're coming broadcasting live from my F-350 way too early in the morning. I actually had to wait until the sun comes up so you could actually see my face, those of you who are watching this on the YouTube. But yeah, let's get into it. Are we in control of ourselves? When I ask this question, I see a lot of people, even a lot of wealthy, well-to-do people, who will meet people like gurus, or you get like people like Tony Robbins and stuff like that, who's for those of you who don't know, who's a motivational person. And a lot of people who are already so-called successful have a lot of these anxiety issues and sleep issues and all these problems because their minds are all jumbled up. And I think that we have a certain amount, I know that we have a certain amount of mind programming that's been going on, society's programming, just in general. I think especially if you made lots of money, right? You got the car, the house, the wife, the husband, or whatever. You got the status, and many of the other people who are like you, who are wealthy, have a certain look, feel, texture to them. And it's kind of like a club thing. And it's kind of like what society's indoctrinations are as well. We all have these, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us have this expectation of a certain way to look. Now, I live, for those of you who don't know, I live very, 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 very simple. I am not a millionaire. I consider myself a thousandaire. And what always brings this question up is, I live amongst very wealthy people. I mean, these people are driving BMWs, and they got the McMansions and all that kind of stuff. And my child, even though I am against public education, but I'm not against what individuals' wishes are. My child wishes to go to school, to a public education government facility, and I think I broke her. I think I gave her enough, shoveled some shit in her head to keep her persuaded from getting her magic murdered and things like that. So hopefully she doesn't turn out an automaton when they release her from it. But she mingles with a lot of these people's children, and this weekend, one of them wants to come over and spend the night. And I live super simple, as I said. This is a tiny house at a permanent RV park. And, it's rinky-dinky. It's really, really rinky-dinky. And these people, when they come, they think that we're just like super, super poor. They have no idea, which some of the people have pointed out to me, that I'm probably most likely, more financially secure than these people are. Yet they, by appearance, by society's indoctrination and programming, they'll look at me and think, wow, this person really needs help. You know, you can see it in their faces. They're embarrassed. And I think it's hilarious because when I say unfuck yourself, really one of the biggest ones is stop giving a shit what people think about you. I really don't care. These people aren't going to be there when I'm maybe purchasing my piece of land and starting my homestead or whatever. They're not with me when I'm on my mini retirements where I'm off traveling with my children, having the time of my life for a month, 2 months, 3 months, right? They don't affect me in one bit other than their opinion or their view of me. So I think society has a pressure that is built in to where people want to look the part, they want to act the part. And I think that in order to unfuck yourself, boy, you got to get away from that one. I talk about this one a lot, but I think it's really huge because what we have right now is we have struggle. Fuck the inflation, the Great Reset, and everything. I want to call this the Great Struggle, and we got to figure shit out. And for me, you know, instead of watching the movies and wasting my fucking time away, I start to look at, well, what could I do with a situation if it starts to progress and gets a lot worse than what it is? And for me, I'll just talk on that real quick. I looked yesterday and kind of got giddy because I said, you know what? I can paint houses. I'm licensed to paint houses, do flooring. I can do synthetic grasses, those plastic turf things that people put in their backyards are completely just weird to me. But I'm licensed to do them. I can fix sprinklers, and I've got a lot of things that I'm licensed to do, and a lot of stuff that I actually know how to do that I'm not licensed to do, that I can't legally be in business here in Sunnyside, California. But I also started to look and say, well, food's going up. I have a shit ton of seeds. What if I started a CSA? What if I had a bunch of people who got in and paid me, and I basically grew vegetables for them, and maybe even get into a place where, full timing I'm talking about, where I could raise rabbits and chickens for eggs, chickens for eggs, rabbits for meat, chickens for meat, and spin farming on somebody else's property that I don't even have to own, where I give them meat in exchange and pay the water bill, right? So there's many, many ways that we can cut the turkey here, and we don't have to be stuck. But I think that what we have from society's pressures and indoctrinations and their programming is the effects on the subconscious mind. And I see this a lot everywhere, even with the so-called really successful people. The subconscious mind is the mind that operates underneath your conscious mind, right? Your conscious mind. Right now I'm driving my pickup truck. My subconscious mind is making sure I don't stray off the fucking road and kill myself. Yeah, that's how you're able to do multiple things at the same time. It kind of takes over. It's an underlying computer system, a programming system, where things kind of can get buried. We've talked about this before, where I think the Catholics know this, where they said, give us a kid from 7 years old to 12, I think it was, or from birth to 7, I forgot which one it is, that will turn them into a Catholic for life. We're going to indoctrinate them in their mind and have stuff implanted in their subconscious mind. I think that it continues to go. I think it continues to go until you're close to your 20s, but each individual can be different, I think, to where your hard drive is, when it stops being downloaded and you start to form opinions of yourself. But I really think this is a lot of the problems where people have, where that subconscious mind, the hard drive is so full of information and maybe disinformation or just stuff that's holding them back. So when I ask who's in control of yourself, I think you should take a really good think and a really good observation to yourself. Not anybody else. Fuck everybody else and anybody else. We got to get ourselves down first. We got to figure out what's going on with us before we even worry about somebody else. So then the question comes is, who's holding us back? And really when it comes down to it, and whatever it is you want in life, it's pretty much ourselves. Happy to say. I don't want to say sad to say. I like to say happily to say. Because once we figure this out, once we start noticing, well, where are all these little voices in my head coming from, that I'm a loser, that I can't do shit, that I've got to do this, I got to do that, this is the way it is. In school, for instance, I always talk about this. Never do they teach you about financial literacy. Never do they teach you about entrepreneurship. And these are some of the most liberating, if not the most liberating things in our lives right now. Well, not the, but very high up there. Top fucking 5 top 5 hands fucking down. But they don't teach us these kind of things. So it's up to you to take control, whether it's later on in life. That's what's happening to me right now. Later on in my 40s, I'm still introducing myself to financial literacy. But early in life, I never really attended public school and I could never follow a group completely. I always thought about things, observed things in my own way. I had to always try shit my own fucking way. And by the time I was 18, I was already an entrepreneur, running my own business, making my own money. Yeah. Who's holding us back? It's mainly ourselves. And I think it's so awesome because once we realize this, we can jump through the hurdles a lot faster. It's a lot easier to know that it's you yourself in many, many forms that's holding you back instead of a big giant group, a big giant mass. Because that's very difficult. You can change you, but how do you change the majorities? And now, on that note, I'd like to say there are some things that are holding you back. Mostly the subconscious thoughts that you have and everything, which are part of yourself, but they came from external sources. But we do have government and friends, and like you have your emotions and things. I've met a lot of people through this COVID deal where a lot of friends and family were separated because of the vax, unvax, that whole deal, the politics of things. So, yeah, so it can get pretty nasty, and sometimes it's a very hard place to navigate. But unless you're empowered to yourself, unless you spend time with yourself, you feel comfortable, confident, happy, and you gain control of yourself, then that's the time when you're able to break through all of this. And actually, I think it's healthy to actually lose friends and family to stupid things like politics and things like that, because really in actuality, it goes to show that they really aren't your friends, and that maybe there's somebody in your life that you could find in the future that would make you way more fucking happy, and you as well, making them happy. So I want to talk next about how intuition has and continues to be murdered, destroyed through science and kind of logical thinking, right? We think about logical. And why would we even give a shit about intuition? Intuition's pretty fucking crazy. Let me tell you a quick story about what happened to me yesterday. Yesterday I was walking out, and before I did this podcast, the yesterday's show, where I was looking at, when I went into the hardware store and they were empty, not empty, but they were looking pretty shabby. And I just stood there looking, going, wow, this is fucking crazy. What the hell is going on? And I saw a jasmine flower. There's a jasmine plant, and I just wanted to stop from being stressed out and just kind of smell them. That's one of my favorite flowers besides honeysuckles. Yes, I'm a fucking flower sniffer, motherfuckers. You got a problem with that? Just kidding. So I picked this jasmine flower, just one, and I smelled it. It smelled just wonderful. And I'm going to one of my clients' houses on my way to do a bid. And somebody one of the clients I've been working with for a while, so I kind of know her. And I'm sitting there, I didn't know what to do with the jasmine flowers on my dash. I'm like, oh, it's going to dry up and everything. Let's give it as a gift. So I gave it to this woman as a gift. And it blew her mind because she just put jasmine perfume on and was thinking about jasmine. And there's little things of intuition where, like with this woman, there's something strange. Like, that's where sometimes I look and I'm like, there is parallel existences, some weird Twilight Zone shit going on. Because me and this individual are just connected in some weird way. Like we've known each other through something. It feels very comfortable. It's a client. We actually hug, right? When I see her, she hugs me. When I leave, we both hug, and I'm like, let's see. She even says, "I love you, my darling." And I was like, wow. And it's out of the ordinary. It's very strange. I know some of you are probably going, whoa, that's fucking creepy or weird, but you know what? I really don't give a shit. What was beautiful is those moments she just sat there going, I can't believe that something told you to pick up the flower. And what I wanted to call it was intuition, because she's in a higher frame of thought on other beliefs, let's just say, higher powers, and believes it was them. And for me, it was just intuition. Intuition is the last thing you have with all of this information and kind of logical thinking. To me, logical's a very strange animal, because if you think about it, Us as human beings, an animal has a lot more intelligence than we do. It knows when not to eat something. It looks, it's like, oh, no, no, no. Sometimes animals won't even eat. They'll fast, right, for some strange reason. What happens to us when science and logical thinking takes a look at fasting? Well, the body starts to instantly detoxify. It starts to repair itself. It's actually pretty fucking healthy, some say, depending on which science you're listening to. So we have all this logistics, all of this science, and all of these things trying to mathematically figure out what's right for us, what's wrong for us, when we have this very intuition, this power called intuition, and all of us have experienced something at one point or another. Maybe you took a wrong turn, or something happened where you stalled, and next thing you know, there was a car accident in front of you, and that could have been you, but your intuition told you to stop. I think parents who are true fucking parents, not these zombies out there, you have an intuition that develops with your children. You're with each other so long, or friends, or lovers, or something. You guys ever finish someone's sentences, right? You know? Trust me, some of you may never have done that, and you're thinking, bullshit, that's fucking weird. No, it really exists. I'm a skeptic of everything. So, our intuition is here to help us through our lives to unfuck ourselves from science and mathematics, which I am not against science and mathematics and things like that. I thoroughly enjoy listening to some of the concepts and things like that, and the philosophies and the ideas. But when it really comes down to, if we can nurture and practice, you guys, I've said this before, I do it with my daughter, my special needs daughter. We go grocery shopping, and whatever our eyes fall upon in the vegetable and fruit section, we buy. Whatever I smell, and my body goes, I'm using my intuition, the smell, the sight, the texture of it, I hold it in my hand, and my body's just like, give me that now, right? Lately it's been papayas. I don't know if it's for the digestive enzymes or the logical digestive enzymes or what, but who gives a shit? There's something in it that my body needs, and I eat it. So I very highly recommend that this is the saving grace from when you don't know what the fuck to do with anything. All things are falling apart. The way to unfuck yourself on so many fucking levels is using your intuition, practicing. Like all things, if you ask me, which you aren't, but it's my show, so I'm fucking telling you, is everything's like a muscle. Stephen Hawking, if you want a great mind, a scientist, say that's what he says. The mind is like a muscle. If we don't use it, it atrophies. I'm almost 100% on this. Like, we need to use our brains and practice thinking and put ourselves out of our comfort zones and start coming up with solutions and things like that. And I notice once we do, there's two types of people I see that live in this world. There's a lot of people, well, there's some in-betweeners, but the majority of people are just like, I need help. Where do I go to get help? I need to know what to do. And then there's these other people that just fucking go for it. Like, they're never looking for instructions or anything. They're just jumping in, they're handling their own lives. And that's what I see with this whole COVID thing and this great recession of self, you know, this great struggle, as I like to call it. As a lot of people are helpless. And there's a lot of people, I think, in life, even when we didn't have the struggle. That's what, for me, just to leak out some personal information, the best thing I ever did was separate from an individual from my life. And it was hands down the best thing, because all they want to do is get by. And me, I'm a worker, I'm a saver, I'm a seeker of information, of intelligence, of I would say experiences, all kinds of different things. Just a seeker of everything. And it's an annoying type of person. So I think for the both of us, probably the best thing that happened for our lives was to separate the union and go off on our own ways. All right, so very interesting. I tried to find this one a while back. I think I heard it from Alan Watts. I listened to a lot of different stuff, so I have no idea which person it came from. But they said the word spell is actually a spell, like a magical spell. If you go back, that's where the word derived from. So the spell of spelling I have here on my notes. Now, I think that's fucking sometimes sounds crazy. I don't really, not one that's like believing in magic, right? But in a way, when I look at things like how water holds memory and a lot of these things in the science, by you putting your attention on the water, you actually change its molecular structure. It's scientifically proven. They take water, you say hateful things to it, flash freeze it, put it under a microscope, but it'll actually have these ugly configurations of crystals. You say that I love you, or what was interesting was holy water, play like classical music, it'll actually create these beautiful crystals. It's all science-based. It's there if you want to look at it. Just that a lot of it's being buried, right? They don't want you to know these things. But the powerful thing of the mind of these things I look at is the spell of spelling. Maybe that's what the Catholics mean, give us a kid from that early age and we'll turn them into a Catholic for life. What the fuck does that mean? How do you forcefully make somebody something into for life? By mental programming. Possibly, and I know again this sounds weird, may sound weird, by casting a word spell upon them. By spelling out, say it, right? That's what they make you do in school and the army and things like that. Say it. When you say it out loud. Which brings me to my next one, the mantras. Thoughts on mantras. I think that this is kind of interesting. There's a few people that I like to follow and listen to, like Danny Penya is one. He's the $1 billion man. And there's some merit to some stuff he says. I just like listening to him yell at people because it makes me laugh. You know, this guy's insane. But he even said that he does a mantra every morning when he wakes up as part of his wake-up routine. And a mantra, for those of you who don't know, is just something you tell yourself, like
David Babashoff, dead, or 2 other.
It's things that you tell yourself to reinforce your belief system, right? So there we go, spell again. So by you waking up like this billionaire, who seems to be a really smart person and making some really good money, has made really, really good money, decides to talk to himself, basically, to create stuff inside of his hard drive. So my thoughts are that I'm doing this constantly, I think, in my mind. Like I want to I'm creating things, I'm building things, but I wonder how well it would be to set the mood for the day by telling yourself, I'm going to have a wonderful day, and telling yourself this maybe 5-10 times, right? I am in perfect health. And closing your eyes and being present with yourself and creating these mantras. Or maybe the way I kind of think is that this is some sort of trick to where you have to believe in order to, your beliefs determine your experiences, but you got to believe it 100%. So the trick is to listen to these things over and over again. And when it's coming from you, that possibly they will manifest in your life. Now, there's a lot of successful people that believe in that, creative visualization and things like that. So I think also that mental programming by social media and things like that know about this. I think the powers that know about this from way early on were like, man, we should create this book of life, you know, in multiple different ways and hide shit and make this giant puzzle piece so that people feel guilty as fuck and that this life doesn't mean shit and what you do, you'll burn and you're going to die and suffer if you don't fucking follow, because once we go up into the next realm, that's where shit really begins. But this is just a testing ground, right? And then we can control their lives. If we can get them to believe it, we don't have to lock them up. We don't have to do anything. That could be very, very powerful. Is it so? I have no fucking idea. Sometimes I start to visit shit and it starts to make fucking sense. So yeah, the thing I look at with all of this is the arts that's had effect on human bodies, I want to say. Not just humans, but human bodies. Women and men would actually weep at the operas, you know, by the sounds and the music of Mozart and Ludwig Beethoven. You know, what brought this up was I play music for my plants and for myself, relaxing music in the background when I'm working on my farm, and it just really helps the day go by. In fact, for my children, same thing. I haven't done this in a while, but I'll just put on some relaxing ocean background symphony music. And in the wintertime when it's cold, I'll light some candles up and burn some like lemon oil or something in the morning. It's just this really calming way to enter the day. And women, I think, really respond to it. I'm a man, so I'm trying to figure out, you know, ambiance and things like that for my daughters. I don't want to raise them all hard ass, you know. I can't help it. I'm a man. I don't really know how these things feel, but I know that it affects me as well. The smell of the oils and the light of the candles and things like that does something. And the effects of the arts, like for me, I actually wept when I heard Mozart's Requiem song played live when I was a kid. I get goosebumps every time I hear my favorite rock songs. Like something's weird about me. Like I have this thing where I could like feel like music in general or art or things like that. I guess I'm full of shit, everything, like a beautiful flowers, like I'm on fucking LSD or mushrooms or something. I just get sucked into the situation, and there's no drugs involved. I just trip the fuck out. It's like a fucking, like a trail that I go down. I just start getting weirded out on it. Just not weird, just really thinking about it, having a full experience. So a lot of the arts that I look at has just the sound or the sight. The Vincent van Gogh's paintings, Picasso's. I seen the live exhibit of Van Gogh, and it just blew my mind. I was like, wow, for one, how old the paintings are, and but just watching the style and the techniques and things, and it's just amazing the way the paint would stand so far off. It was so caked onto the canvas. But just the colors, I think that Van Gogh is a perfect one because it was almost hallucinogenic. It warped your mind and takes you to a whole new world. And a lot of you people nowadays are probably going, yeah, whatever, it's just like a painting or music or something like that. That's because we've been, our souls have been vibrated with a modern dildo, right? It's been vibrated and vibrated where it's almost numb, where we look at now and things are so quick, so on the spot. Like information's flashed on our faces that we can't feel anymore. We're basically bombarded with strobe lights of entertainment and experiences and textures and things that I think a lot of us don't have that much feeling in us. And we're like we did back in the day, back in the 1800s and stuff like that. It was very rare to see, like the color blue, for instance. Go research it. There was all these colors, but pigments to make the color blue was very difficult to find. So when someone came across blue, they're like, what the fuck is that? I've never seen that. It's blue, So very subtle, very simple things that used to be huge. But when we look at things as far as in now with music and things like that, like people going to raves and stuff like that, there's still emotion where, like a love song, a sad love song. My youngest daughter loves to listen to Adele, and I'm just like, fuck, dude, you're killing me. You're fucking killing me, man. But it emotionally will set the mood for the day. So tell me it doesn't. And the importance of that, to unfuck yourself, is to notice that all of these things we were just talking about, that how it affects you, how it fucks you, and how you can unfuck yourself by understanding that the music, the symphony of words is what I look at, the symphony of everything. I want to talk a little bit about experience I had in the desert a couple of times. I drove miles and miles out in the desert where there was not another human being. Yes, it gets kind of creepy, but I have my techniques. I knew I could walk out to a highway. I know how to navigate. I know which way I can, but it still was, a good hour's drive away from any major highway. So we were pretty far out there. But the cool thing is when you're out, when you give yourself these experiences, what happens in the desert, unlike most other places, sometimes there's absolutely no fucking sound at all. You're sitting there. I sit there with my dog, of course, when she was alive. But you're sitting there, and you can start to hear your ears ring. You can start to hear your own breath when the wind's not blowing. It's just dead fucking still. And it's such a eerie feeling at first, and then it's such a calming feeling. And just to lay in that sand, which is clean, by the way. It's not dirty at all. The desert's not dirty. There's so much wind blowing through that any particles, muddy like particles, most deserts anyways, the ones I go to, you can lay in that sand and brush it off you. There's not even dust on you. It's just so clean, right? It's just something wonderful about the experience. But experiencing that that feeling and thinking about all of these things that we have, noticing how the chemicals of your body actually even change, they alter. Why is it that you would feel your chest caving in when somebody insults you or leaves you, right? When you break up, when someone breaks your heart, you don't even want to eat. You feel sick to your fucking stomach. Nobody physically did anything to you, but we have these physical things that are happening in the biology of our body and in our minds, and the two are linked. And with all of the shit we have going on in the world right now, the symphony of the sound, which is very interesting if you calm yourself down and do a lot of the experiments and things that I'm talking about today. When you start listening to the newscasters or the radio or the social media, there's a symphony of sound, I think, that comes out. And I think that the powers that be know this. Watch me get a black helicopter come flying over my fucking head right now, lift my truck up and everything, just lift us up and bury us out in the fucking desert I was talking about. There you got your silence, motherfucker, No, but there's a symphony of the sound, I think, that vibrates. And our bodies are made out of water. I'm going off on a weird tangent here. But once we know this and we start to listen to it and feel it, I can go, oh, I understand that song. I've felt and seen that. I've heard that song before. I'm not buying into that shit, right? I think that there's a hum and a thing that goes over that in people's cells that reverberates inside their brains that fucks them. And in order to unfuck yourself, you have to be what my interpretation of woke is. Woke is to understand that, look, maybe suggestively, like on the news it likes to say a lot, experts are saying, okay, who are these fucking experts? What's their fucking names? Where did they come from? What experiment did they do? Was it second or third party tested? Right? These experts are saying that's it, that COVID's on the rise, that cancer is, excuse me, I got excited there. See what happens when I get angry? Cancer's this type of blood type and this and that, and then they're just making shit up. Who the fuck are these people? Woke is looking at things from a logical standpoint, using your intuition, exercising your brain to think, and also exercising that intuition to go work in conjunction with the brain, because they both are not separate. It's all one thing to me. The beauty of, and that to me, that's being woke, is understanding the world is made out, the earth is made out of two-thirds water. Our bodies are made out of two-thirds water. It is said, right? There's all kind of pH systems of the planet biologically, 6.8 to 7.2. Or 6.5 to 6.8, whatever you're listening to, is the ultimate pH for the body, for aquaponic systems, for your urine to come out to know that you're healthy, for the water that you drink, for the pH of your mouth, for just optimal goodiness for everything. Right? It's crazy. So being woke is understanding all of these things, rising above, unfucking ourselves from the systems that are around us, and noticing that there's a hell of a lot of shit that we can fucking do, that we're capable of doing. And I think that they don't want us to know these things. And obviously a lot of people are doing things that they think they have to do, or that this is the way it is. But it's not. It's not that way. And unfortunately, a lot of people do some major harm to themselves and will continue to do harm to themselves, thinking that there's no way out, there's nothing we can do, because they've been mentally programmed. They've been fucked. And I'm here to tell you to fucking wake you up. I don't know what woke means. That's my interpretation. It's to the self, whatever that means. Not this weird woke movement that a lot of people are angry about. But my message to you is to wake up yourself, start doing some exercises. Don't be scared. There's realizations, there's things that are going to come to you when you do start to open your eyes and you start to look at things for yourself, of what you want or what things really mean to you, instead of being told what things mean to you. You actually get to understand these things yourself. It gets a little hairy sometimes, but once you pop out of it and you get your self-empowerment, and you get these practices and exercising self-empowerment, then nothing can sway you, and life actually gets 100% fucking better. You have just unfucked yourself. So guys, go out there and seriously unfuck yourself from fuckicism. This is me with the unfuckicism. Signing off, guys. I hope I made you laugh. I hope you guys got something out of this today. I want to stay positive out here in this fucked up weird shit. But yeah, we got to get out there. We got to make sure that nobody else is going to do it for you, right? That's what I look at, and I get so fucking excited. That's what I want to share with you guys. Like, I feel invincible. I feel unstoppable, and you guys are too. You guys are fucking invincible and unstoppable. You just got to believe in yourself. I believe in you. But you got to believe in yourself. You got to stop these fucking charades, man. I'm getting that to the point where I'm fucking pissed now. I'm excited about my life, but I'm really pissed off at the shit they keep fucking shoveling at our windshields. It's fucking stupid, guys. It's got to stop. This is getting way out of fucking control. So guys, go out there and unfuck yourself and unfuck the entire fucking world. As I always say, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. You guys know what to do. All the information's on the bottom. Like, subscribe, all that bullshit. Go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it. And bone it, my friends.